Hi everyone, here's what's bothering me today. There were too many things to be bothered by today. The top two that I got the most sort of suggestions for or vibes for was, of course, it is MLK Day. But also there's been some pretty significant news in Canada that also ties into America. And since I'm Canadian, I'm going to focus on the Canadian content. And what I'll do instead is in the description down below, I will post a link to what I consider to be my favorite Martin Luther King speech, or rather it's an excerpt from one of his speeches that was published by The Atlantic a year ago. So with that out of the way, I want to talk about one of the many things that's bothering me today, which is the Keystone XL pipeline. Now, no, don't be alarmed. I'm glad it's being canceled, but I'm bothered by what this means for Canada and the future. Because what's happening as we speak is angry conservatives are blaming Justin Trudeau for this because that's what they love to do. Now, as I've made, mention before in several videos and a rant against him, Justin Trudeau is terrible in a myriad of ways, but Keystone XL is not his fault. In fact, Justin Trudeau has been one of the biggest allies of the oil and gas sector that Alberta could ever ask for. He's tried to pass, and he did pass, like on the Canadian side of things, Keystone XL. They bought them a pipeline, Trans Mountain. They continued to, harass the natives at the Wet'suwet'en protest. The Liberals also quietly expanded and approved expansions and doubling of, I think, Line 3, Line 7, and Line 5. They are not friends of the environment, and I wish more people recognize that. And that's all tangential to the core of this, which is Alberta. Alberta literally placed all its bets on the Keystone XL pipeline moving forward. And during the election and during Trump's presidency, Canadians from Justin Trudeau and the federal Liberals to Kenney and the provincial UCP in Alberta were saying, please approve this pipeline. And Trump, the person they love to simp for, didn't get it done. And so now Biden is saying on his first day he's going to cancel this. And while that's a good thing for the environment, and it's also really embarrassing that now Trudeau is to the right of Joe effing Biden on the environmental portfolio, what this means for Canada is years of headache. And that's what's bothering me today. We now have to endure months, if not years, of Jason Kenney and the UCP and people drinking the blue conservative Kool-Aid thinking that this is Justin Trudeau's fault and he hates Alberta and he hates oil and gas jobs. Meanwhile, no one's going to actually look at Jason Kenney and condemn him for wasting $7 billion of Alberta's dollars chasing this literal pipe dream. No one's going to give him hell for that. And no one is going to give the Albertans hell for putting themselves into this position that they now find themselves in. The architects of their own destiny and therefore demise. No one's going to accurately point out that this now means, as Kenney has said before, and it's gone under the radar for most people, that they are open to strip mining mountains in the Rocky Mountains if it means being able to extract coal. Because, if we can't have oil and gas, coal's the reasonable and rational alternative as opposed to, geothermal, which Alberta is primed for. This is the sad reality we are going to have to deal with in Canada over the next few months and years, which also means, because it's unceded Indigenous land, we're also going to have to deal with more versions of the Wet'suwet'en protests. And as we've seen before, federal government doesn't like dealing with those unless they really start to hit people where it hurts, which brings us to the rail blockades, which means that those might come back. In fact, they never really left because there's still the land back movement that continues to this day. What the canceling of Keystone XL means is a period of tumultuous change and stress for Canada. And while we should welcome and relish that challenge and actually push for progressive policies and meaningful reconciliation, it's not going to happen because the Liberals are just as bad as the Conservatives when it comes to the environment and managing Indigenous rights. And that means that we're going to have to endure months and years of avoidable and unnecessary, to quote Joe Biden, malarkey. And that's what's bothering me today.